Joined live on set now by Peter Pamel, the head of the Clico Policyholders Group, to get his thoughts on the company finally paying off its debt and being what he described as free at last. We'll also get his view on the future of Clico. Mr. Pamel, very good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning to you, Fazir. Good morning to all your viewers. And a special good morning to all the Clico policyholders.
Indeed. We've had many discussions on this over the years, not so frequent anymore, but certainly when this first developed in January of 2009, and for several months thereafter, you would have appeared not just here, but at CNMG, other media outlets, discussing the different issues from the point of view of the policyholders group. What does this actually mean right now? Is it that now that the debt has been completely paid off, and what happens from that point on, this point onwards?
Okay. Well, first of all, what has happened is that on the 1st of December, the central bank has issued a notice indicating that they have relinquished control of Clico. And as you would recall, when the collapse came in 2009, the central bank intervened under Section 44D of the Central Bank Act and took control of Clico. So what they did is effectively put a board in place appointed by the central bank to manage the affairs of Clico. That board has had several incarnations. People have come and go and so on, but the most recent board is headed by a lady by the name of Claire Gomez Miller. And she's the executive chairman of that board. Recently, just last weekend, I think it's on Sunday, Asha Javid, one of your reporters,
yes,
has reported that she has said that the entire debt has not yet been paid to the government at the level of on the Clico side.
Yes.
And there's some $1.1 billion still outstanding. However, she also indicated that the money has been available or is available to pay the government. It seems as though the government may be interested in a particular asset that Clico has, which is the MHIL, the Methanol International Limited shares. And that seems to be taking a little longer than they anticipated to be concluded. But the point is, for all intents and purposes, the Clico has the money to pay the government. It's up to the government to either take the cash that they have right now, or to wait until this transaction with the MHIL share has been completed to get the money. So the bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, the government has been repaid.
Okay.
We into semantics by saying we're waiting on the methanol holdings and all of that.
Right. Yeah. And I know there are many different issues here that we want to get in, but you say the government has been paid. I prefer to use the term taxpayer.
Yes, of course.
At the end of the day, so, and I know it can get quite complicated as to who was paid how much and how much is held in what you call it, escrow, whatever.
Yes.
But are you satisfied that whatever has been put out of taxpayer resources to prop up Clico at that time, that the taxpayers have now been reimbursed for that outlay from taxpayers' dollars?
Absolutely, and I would say with interest, because some of the assets that the government has acquired on behalf of the taxpayers, as you know, the Minister of Finance has boasted about the NIF and how much money the NIF is making.
Yes,
and
that's the National Investment Fund.
Yes. Now, the NIF is making all this money because of the assets that Clico once owned. So you had the Republic Bank shares, 25-26% of Republic Bank shares being transferred to the NIF. You had OCM shares, about 20% of OCM. You had Whitco and a number of other shareholdings that were transferred to the NIF. And these are the assets that are performing now for the benefit of the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago, over and above what the value of those assets were when they were transferred. So to answer your question, categorically,
yes,
the taxpayers have gotten back their money with benefits. Let me put it that way.
Okay, and what about the Clico policyholders now?
That is where the problem lies. As you would recall, one of the main reasons for the intervention of the central bank was really to ensure that policyholders were not worse off than they were when the collapse came. They intervened really to make them whole. But at the time, because of the depreciated value of the assets of Clico, that was not possible. In fact, let me just mention, and you would know, Fazir, it has taken 13 years. We're in 2022.
Yes.
So this
almost the end of 2020.
Almost the end of 2020. So you talk about 13 years for this issue to have now been resolved insofar as the taxpayers getting back the money that used to bail out Clico. So the point is that those policyholders who were the ones who invested in Clico, whose money was used to purchase all these assets that are now benefiting the country and other people, those persons, they were divided. They were divided into two groups called the assenting and the non-assenting policyholders. The assenting policyholders are the ones who accepted the government's offer in 2012. Remember when the People's Partnership was in office, in order to alleviate some of the suffering of the people at that time, because they had no money, they were getting no interest and all that, they came up with an offer where they were going to pay $75,000 in cash and the balance in zero coupon bonds. That is on the principal sum that was owed to these policyholders. That was done, but the understanding at that time, as far as we were concerned, is Clico could not pay anything more, or they were doing a favor by assisting policyholders to weather the storm, so to speak, until better days came. We knew better days were coming, but we had to be patient. So the other group of policyholders, called the non-assenting policyholders, they did not accept the offer. They said that they wanted all their monies, which is principal plus interest. They went to court. Unfortunately, they lost the case, but they were able to be paid the full amount of their money, the entire amount, principal plus interest. And we are very happy about that. What we have been waiting for is for the government to get back all its money. So we have waited 13 years to ensure that the government gets back all its money, which they have done. And we are saying now that Clico is profitable. Ms. Claire Gomez has indicated over the weekend that Clico is making over $367 million in 2021, which is double what it made in 2020. Clico has a surplus, a net surplus, in terms of net asset value of about over $3 billion. So the issue of money to pay the policyholders, the balance that is due to them, is not an issue, because Clico has the money. This is not money that is going to come from the Treasury or anywhere else.
So it's not taxpayers' money?
No, it's not taxpayers. I want to make that category clear. It is not taxpayers' money. It is money that is contractually due to these policyholders from Clico. Bottom line, that is what it is. And all we are saying is, now that the government has gotten back its money, now that the central bank has relinquished control of Clico, because before now, no one could have taken any action, legally or otherwise, against Clico because they were protected by an amendment to the Central Bank Act. We are saying the time has come to pay those policyholders what is contractually due to them.
Explain what that means, because if it is that, as you were saying, that the non-assenting policyholders, then the assenting policyholders were eventually made whole. No.
The non-assenting policies were made whole. They got all that they were entitled to. And they have come out of the picture.
The
assenting policyholders, they have not been made whole. As a matter of fact, in order for Clico to get the bailout money, or a significant portion of the bailout money, which is the money that they use to do these bonds, the government entered into an agreement, a loan agreement, not this present administration.
But that was in 2012.
Yeah, in 2012.
Yeah, People's Partnership.
So there was an agreement between the Clico and the government in order to access these funds to advance payment, so to speak, to the policyholders, to give them a significant portion of money that was owed to them. That was done, and the policies of those policyholders were used as the collateral to secure that loan. And as a result of that, there was a document that those policyholders had to sign called a deed of assignment and declaration of trust. I want to stress the operative word there was a deed of assignment. So because in law, policyholders cannot sell their policies. The only thing you can do is assign your policies in this particular jurisdiction. Maybe in another jurisdiction you'll be able to do that, but not in Trinidad and Tobago, based on the Insurance Act. So what would have happened is those policyholders would have assigned their policies to the government as the collateral for the government lending Clico this money. That loan has now been repaid. Those policies need to be released back to those policyholders. So a deed of release has to be done to release those policies back to those policyholders. And on the basis of that document, because remember, Clico is the trustee. So the trustee cannot keep the money that is lawfully belongs to policyholders, which is what it seems as though Clico is attempting to do.
Okay, and just so I can be clear on this, because I know it gets very complicated. For those assenting policyholders who signed on to that offer by the People's Partnership Administration in 2012, did they relinquish any rights to this amount that is owing? Basically, what I'm saying is that in accepting what was offered at that time, did it include agreeing to whatever that was paid, that was it? Or if you could explain that part of it.
I want to say categorically the answer to that is no. What, as I said, you have to understand what transpired in the context of the legal framework in Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot sell something if the law doesn't allow you to sell something. In other words, you cannot say, I want to sell my child, or I want to sell my eyes. There's no legal framework that allow you to do that.
Right.
So in the case of a policy, have you ever heard in Trinidad and Tobago somebody sold an insurance policy in your many years? I know you've been around a while. Have you ever heard of a policy, insurance policy being sold? No. The concept of a selling a policy just does not exist in Trinidad and Tobago. What you can do, which people have done over the years, is go to the bank and assign their policy and borrow money from the bank. And when they repay the bank, their policy is released back to them. That is how it works. There's no rocket science there. And that is exactly what happened in 2012. The policy holders assigned their policies to the government because the government lent money to Clico. Clico has now repaid that money. Why is the government is not, the government can't be holding on to a policy that it has no interest in anymore because it has gotten back all its money. So what needs to be done is those policies need to be released. But what is more important, because of the contractual nature of that policy, the policy continues to accrue value over the years. And that is what we are saying. The residual value, what they paid us up front has to be subtracted from what is still due to us. So that can be calculated. And that is what we are concerned about. Is it that Clico is saying, we are not going to pay you that, and we are going to keep that money? Because that money is in Clico. Eh?
Yeah.
That money is not with the government, you know.
Okay.
That money is with Clico. That's why I want to make it clear. We have no beef with the government. The government is not in this issue anymore as far as we are concerned. This is about Clico and the policyholders and the contractual obligations that Clico has to the policyholders.
Have you reached out to Clico directly in relation to this?
Well, everything is quickly unfolding, as you know. As you know, the central bank has indicated that they're having a press conference on tomorrow, actually, on the 2nd. I hope you all will be sending reporters. In fact, I am trying to make an effort to be there, although some assistant Christine Nanton Winter is telling me that I'm not, effectively, my words, that I'm not welcome.
Well, you mentioned somebody's name. We can't independently verify that.
No, but
it could be purely hearsay.
No, I have been in communication.
She could, you are misrepresenting what
No, I have the emails to prove it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And I have court closed too.
Right.
Yes. So,
you have court closed?
Oh, yeah.
So
but trust me,
I terrified
like,
that.
like the Prime Minister said, I went shopping the other day and I got some clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, just in relation to this, I just wanted to, and forgive me for sounding repetitive.
Sure.
Can it be interpreted that based on the wording of whatever settlement was agreed to by the assenting policyholders in 2012, that you relinquished any right, even if it was illegal? I know you use the reference, which might be unfortunate, to sell children and sell your eyes.
Yeah.
You might say it might be illegal, but some people might still try to do it and get people to buy it.
Sure. In other words, you cannot enforce an illegal contract. You cannot contract to steal something and you didn't meet your end of the bargain and the person wants to sue you for not stealing. Stealing is illegal.
No, but I'm just asking Mr. Pomel,
so
in signing on to that in 2012, did it state that you relinquish any claim to further
No, it's an assignment. I just told you the name of the document is a deed of assignment and declaration of trust. Nowhere in that document does it talk about selling anything. It talks about assignment. If you look at the central bank reports to the parliament, the central bank uses the term assignment. Nowhere in their reports do they talk about selling anything. So you cannot sell something that you are not legally, there's no legal framework to sell.
Okay, so let me change the wording.
Yes.
If I were to say that I have assigned all my entitlements to this in the future to the government and agree to have no further claim on the matter.
Yes.
Is there wording in that in the document?
You see, your assignment has to be based on something. What happened, that document is a tripartite arrangement between Clico as the trustee, the government as the assignee, and the policyholder as the assignor. The document clearly states that the policyholder is a third party to that agreement between Clico and the government. So we are not a party to that loan agreement. What we have done, and we did that voluntarily, is to use our policies as the collateral, because had that not been done, the government would not have advanced any money to Clico. So people voluntarily assign their policies to the government I mean, I don't know what the other policyholders, but it was clear to me that that was in order for that money to be paid. But we always knew that Clico was going to be resuscitated. Clico was going to be brought back because the assets had depreciated in value and they were going to appreciate. So let me put it another way to you, Fazir. If the government were to claim that residual sum for themselves,
yes,
what they would be seeking to do is to profit at the misery and suffering of policyholders. Because the whole purpose of the bailout, the whole purpose of the intervention of the central bank is to alleviate the suffering and hardship of policyholders, not to profit from that. So the government has come out very well in this matter because they have gotten the gems of Clico, the choice assets of Clico that are now going to benefit the country in perpetuity. You understand? So why is it that Clico, as I said, we have no beef with the government. Our beef now is with Clico. The central bank has now relinquished control. Clico is on its own now. I use the term in the newspaper, you have read the article, untouchable. Before now, Clico was untouchable.
Yes.
Clico is now subject to litigation if they do not do what they are lawfully required to do in these circumstances.
Are you expecting clarity at that media conference, which you may or may not be allowed to attend tomorrow?
Well, I hope the governor of the central bank, I know he looks at your program.
He does?
Okay, yeah, of course. Okay. These are a popular program.
Okay, go ahead.
You know that. I hope he's listening because these are the questions that I would hope to pose to him. I've not ruled out the possibility of me attending that news conferences yet. But I'm saying, or any reporter who's listening to me now, these are the questions that need to be asked at that meeting tomorrow. Why has the central bank relinquished control of Clico without ensuring that those policyholders have been made whole? Why have they done so in circumstances where Clico is extremely profitable, 367 million if we are to believe the executive chairman of Clico, Ms. Claire Gomez, and it has over $3 billion in net assets. There's no way that Clico can say that they don't have the money to pay. Is it that Clico is now going to try to profit? Who's the trustee? I've never heard of that in my life, where a trustee is going to profit from monies that is owed to a beneficiary, and they want to resume business and sell policies to people. They can't be serious for zero.
And because, as you yourself admitted, this is a fast developing arrangement. Has this taken you by surprise that things appear, based on what you're saying, happening so quickly in relation to this?
Not really, because the central bank governor had telegraphed earlier clock, maybe about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago, that he wanted to come out. Let's say the central bank wanted to come out of Clico by December. So this has been telegraphed for some time now. What we have been doing is meekly, we meekly waited and murmured not. We were waiting very patiently for this to happen. Because in order to come out of Clico, the law is very clear. You need to gazette that. So that has been done on the 1st of December. So they have relinquished control, legally relinquished control of Clico. And therefore, Clico has no more protection insofar as the Central Bank Amendment Act is concerned. So we were waiting for two reasons. One is to ensure that the government get back its money. I can't emphasize that enough.
Notwithstanding the 1.1 billion part that remains,
yes,
as to whether they want to get paid or...
It's up to them. It's like I have money for you and I say, look, for you, look me money here. And you tell me, I'm ready for it. Next week I'm busy. You know what I mean? The government money is there. And it's not Peter Purmel saying that. It is Claire Gomez Miller is saying that, who's the executive chairman of Clico.
Right.
So the question has to be asked probably, why is the government taking so long to get taxpayers' money? This is money that belongs to the taxpayers. But that's another story.
Right.
What I'm saying is we have waited. As far as we are concerned, the government has gotten back its money. As far as we're concerned, Clico is now the one to interface with the policyholders. And Clico is the one who has a contractual liability to pay those policyholders. They are not stupid people. Claire Gomez was a former auditor. She's an intelligent woman. She must know that there's a contractual obligation to pay these policyholders. I don't know. Hopefully she'll come on Tuesday and say, yes, of course, we are prepared to pay the policyholders. Mr. Purmel, come in and let's have a conversation. Let's chat about it. I don't know. But all I'm saying is I'm laying the framework for the public and whoever else doesn't understand the thing, to understand where we are in this situation.
Is there an understanding as to how much money we're talking about here in total?
to be quite honest, I don't have those numbers. Those numbers would be, Clico would have those numbers, because remember, it's a computerized
So you
thing.
know what you're claiming?
No, we know what we are, in principle, we know what we are entitled to. It doesn't matter what the figure is. If you have a policy...
100 million, 200
I
million,
don't know.
475
It
million?
could never be that. Because effectively what they did is they gave us about 80% somewhere there in advance, so to speak, based on the offer.
Right.
I don't know what the final figure is.
Okay.
I don't want to venture there.
Right.
I'm leaving that to Clico to do the calculations. But I'm saying that they have an obligation to ensure that those policyholders who have not been paid the balance of money that is due to them, to pay them.
Notwithstanding what you said, Mr. Pamela, about the law not allowing you in any way to sell a policy, and it's about assigning.
Yes.
Is this going to come down to a legal interpretation of that transaction of 2012?
Well, I really hope it does not come down to that, because, the courts are, is another story. I am hoping that good sense prevails here, Fazir, that as the former president said, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I'm appealing to their consciences and their sense of understanding what is required in this situation. It cannot be, Fazir, that Clico, the entity that is going to benefit from this residual amount that is owed to the policyholders, is Clico. The government is not going to benefit, The government has gotten its money. The government is on Hansard. Mr. Imbert, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister of Finance, he has said that all that the government is interested in is getting back what was due to them as a result of the bailout. That has happened. The executive chairman has said that. She has said that there's a balance, yes, but they have the money there in case they want it, by the way, in case they want it. So the only entity that stands to benefit from this situation is Clico. And I want to remind the executive chairman that Clico is the trustee. The trustee is the person who is the referee in a game, Fazir. You don't go and play on the field, you understand, and score goals.
Well, maybe you need VAR, because VAR is now on the field, as we see in the World Cup. This can be quite complex,
yes,
depending on what we hear at the media conference tomorrow. Yes. But it seems that the mere fact that you are here, yes, highlighting this issue would appear to suggest that this is going to become a point of contention.
But as I said, I really hope it doesn't. Honestly, I really hope it doesn't. We are battle worn. We have been fighting this thing for 13 years. Have some sympathy for the policyholders. Pay them their money.
How many policyholders have passed away in that intervening time?
Fazir, it's too many. Dozens of policyholders. And that's a good point you're raising with me, Fazir. Because all of us didn't make it to this stage. I thank God that I'm still here, that I can talk to you. We passed through COVID. We've seen it. We've done it all. And now we are at the stage where Clico is now highly profitable, is now in surplus of in excess of $3 billion. And they still don't want to pay the policyholders?
And in the couple of minutes that we have left before we reach the news at the top of the hour, in the early stages, there were all sorts of references about greedy policyholders, wanting, signing on to a policy that they knew because of the healthy returns could not be sustained and so on. Do you think now the general public properly understands what this entire transaction was all about, and that it's not a case of greedy policyholders wanting more than their fair share?
Let me add to some of the rhetoric apart from greedy. They were saying it was a Ponzi scheme. You remember that, Fazir?
Yes.
That Clico was a Ponzi scheme. The same Ponzi scheme assets are now benefiting the country. So how could Clico have been a Ponzi scheme? This greedy nonsense that people were talking back in 2012. I do ever hear that talk again. At least nobody's come to me with that foolishness. But the policyholders invested in a solid investment, which was regulated by the central bank. Is the central bank dropped the ball on Clico, The central bank should have been the one to know that things were not going right in Clico and intervene in Clico. But now we have a situation, and we thank the central bank having intervened at the 99th hour, when the thing had already collapsed. They have been able to salvage some credibility in the whole issue by getting back the taxpayers' money, because the taxpayers' money would not have had to be injected if central bank was doing its job.
Lots of issues here on the table, Mr. Pamela. So, again, there's supposed to be a media conference with Clico tomorrow. Whether you are there or not, we await to see. And are you hopeful Are you expectant that the Clico will say what you hope that they will say, or are you anticipating a legal battle?
Wazir, I've been around long enough to know that you hope for the best and plan for the worst, according to what's going on.
And you all are planning for the worst.
We're planning for the worst, but we're hoping for the best.
Mr. Pomel, we thank you very much indeed for taking the time
You're
to be
most
with us
welcome,
this
Wazir.
morning.
Always a pleasure on my part.
Indeed, and it has been a saga that has been going on for quite some time now. As we go